Hi there, Jamie Keat here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to show you how to use Google Forms, and I want to show you how to do this in a couple of different ways. I want to show you how to create something like a event registration or collecting data from a survey, and I also want to show you how to create a quiz with Google Forms so you can quickly get it marked to you and even back to the students right away as soon as they are done. Let's get started today on Teachers Tech, how to create Google Forms. So just before we start, I just wanted to point out that everything will be timestamped down below in the description, so you can look for a specific thing and click on the number and it will take you to that part of the video. But before we start here today, I just wanted to point out that you do need a Google account to access Google Forms. So you can create a Google account to do this, or if you have maybe one for work, that's what you need to be logged into. So I'm going to go up top. I'm already logged into my account right now, and I'm going to go to this app launcher here, the Google Apps here, these 9 little squares in the top. I'm just going to click on this, and you can see right away I have all my different Google apps here, and here is Google Forms. If it's not right here, sometimes it'll be down below here, and just so you know, you can drag these all around and have quick access to ones that you might want to have at the top. But I'll put Google Forms right here for right now, and I'm going to just open up Google Forms here, and it's going to bring me right to a place where I can create these. And when you create these, you can access this through your Google Drive, and I'll show you that in a moment too as I create some. Now, what we have right away here is start from scratch, and I'm going to be focusing on that today here, but I'm also going to show you the templates because that can speed up the process too of creating a Google form. And down below here, I have my recent ones that I've had that just get saved, so you can just click on them for quick access to open them up to keep editing them. So what I want to show you here before we start here into the blank, I just wanted to point out with the template, and so you can see these are some templates right through here. I'm just gonna click on this template gallery, and I'm under general right here. You can upload your own templates if you want to. If I go over to Teachers Tech, you can see I can submit templates, but I'm just going to go under the general one, and this can save you a lot of time with some design and some ideas of what to collect information. So for example, if I go to the event registration template, I can go ahead and open this up, and it will create an event registration one. And maybe there's some tweaking and everything you need to do, especially with times or place and different things like that. But you can go through, and as you click on this, you can go through, do that tweaking and get exactly what you want. You can change your images. You can go up and change, even customize your colors through here and change the images. But I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to show you if I go back to, I'm just going to click up here, and I'm going to go back, and this is what I just created. So it gets automatically saved. You can see there's event registration right here. I'm going to work from scratch because as I go through and show you the different types of questions that you can create, you'll be able to edit any of those templates anyway that way. So right now I'm going to click on blank, and we're going to go from there. So if you wanted to go to Google Forms from your Google Drive, you can go up to the Google Apps here, click on Google Drive, or you can go to the main menu over here and click on Google Drive here. Once you get to here, all you need to do is either, if you've been working on one, you'll be able to see the Google forms that you've worked on if they're recent, or down below you'll see them stored in your Google Drive. You can quickly start a new one here by clicking new, and then you can see Google Forms. If you go over to this one arrow, you can see you can go from blank, or you can go from template. You can also just right click in here and get to the same access here and start from a blank form right here. So I'm just going to make a little survey here. You see right now everything's blank. I'm just going to go ahead, put a title in here. I'm just going to paste this in here. It's going to be Pete's Pet Store. I'll add even a description here. I'm just copying and pasting some information across from one sheet to the other, just so I don't have to type everything out here. So it's going to be a little customer satisfaction survey. If I click up top where it says Untitled Form, I click in here, notice how it's named right away, Pete's Pet Store, and then I can go back and click on this form, and like I showed you before, it's automatically saved here. So I can go back now, click on it, and access it, even though I haven't really done anything to it. To give a quick preview what this would look like. So right now it's just just the title and everything, so it's not much there. But when you want to go up to here, you can see this little I is preview. So if I click on preview, this is what it looks like. I don't have any information. When I click on preview, it opens a new tab. I can close this down and go back into where I'm creating it. So this is where I'm creating it. This is where the preview mode is what it would look like when somebody's about to take it, and I'll be going back and forth between those two. The other thing I would want to point out at first, and maybe you're working together, and one thing about Google, it's great for collaboration. Maybe you're working together to create this survey with somebody. You can share this and collaborate. So if I just go up to send here, and I'll be going back to send a few different times, but when I go to send, notice that there's collaborators here. So if I click on collaborators, I can put the person's name in there, and then they can help me create the survey or quiz or different things. This isn't about taking the quiz, it's about creating it. When you send it to somebody to take it, that's a different way, but this is how you have collaborators to help you out in creating it, especially if it's going to be a longer one, and you can save a lot of time that way. So right away, let's look at what else we can do here. So maybe I want to add an image at the top of this, and I'm going to do that just by clicking here. We have image. Notice I do have video. I could add video here, or I could add image. I'm just going to click on image here. You can see there's different ways to get your images. You could upload it from your computer, from browse. You could go from a camera, by URL if you know where on the internet it's coming from, your photos, Google Drive, and even Google image search. So if I type in dog, if this is a pet store, you can see I could select one of these and put it in. Make sure you have the permissions to use any of the pictures you're adding to it. I'm going to go to Google Drive, and I'm going to just pick a picture I have in my Google Drive here. I'm just going to go ahead and insert it, and now you can see it goes in. Maybe you don't want it this large. You can click on it and you can have the handles, and I can size it like so. Now it's a lot smaller. If you notice too, you have these dots here. If you click on it, maybe you want it aligned centered like so. You could remove it, change it from here also. If you didn't want this, you could go ahead and delete it. And whenever you see these, you can see there's a few more options all the time. I could duplicate it if I wanted the same thing over again. I could add a title to it, which I'll just call dog. So I can just click in here and type dogs, just like that. So what will this look like? If I go up to the preview, you can get that quick look right here. So let's close out this tab that just opened, and I'm going to add a question. Anytime you want to add a question, if this box wasn't here, just hit the plus here and you're going to see other questions get added. Even though I haven't filled out this one, I could go back and still edit them, and I can delete any of these too. You can see that there's the delete here. But let's add a question right here. When I added it, it starts as multiple choice, but I can quickly change any of these too. If I do the drop down right here, you can see I can have short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, all these different ones. I can even have it so they can upload file types right into here, and it'll go into your Google Drive. But let's make a simple question here, and this is just going to be a customer satisfaction survey for Pete's Pet Store. Tell us how satisfied you are, and all I have to do to put in some content now, I can type in here just by clicking any of these. So when you want to have more options, if I click in here, you can see how it just adds. So I'm just going to add about 5 options here. All right, so I have 5 different options. I just want to point out you can add images to any of these here too. So if there was an image, so let's say extremely satisfied, if I was going to say happy face here, and I'll just go here and I can click this in and insert it, and we could have an image right in here to signify any of this. But I'm just going to take this out. So we have these questions. Some other things I just wanted to point out is down below is required. Right now I don't have required selected on this. So if I didn't have it, they don't have to answer this question. But if I select it like this, then they will have to answer the question. We also have whenever you see these three little dots, it will show what you can do within the question on it. So you can go to a section based on answer. So this would be, so if they answered extremely satisfied, maybe I send them to a different part of the form of the survey that is more in tune to how they answer. So I can really send them through in a direction based on their answer. So you could even do this with quizzes or create different options when people are answering your questions of where you want to send them to. We could show a description. If I put on description, we could put that in there. If you go back, you can turn it off. You can see how the check mark is there, just like this. And this final option here, this shuffle option order, if you have this turned on, what it does, and you can see now it's turned on with a check mark, every time it comes back, these would be shuffled in a different order. But in this case, you probably wouldn't want it because we have a certain order of it. But if it was a different type of question, it would come back each time and they would shuffle these all up. So I'm just going to turn that off because it doesn't make sense on this one. Let's do a quick preview, and you can see we can test it out. We could say extremely satisfied, submit, like so. And so now if I close this down, what I wanted you to notice is I have a response right here. Even though I haven't sent it, I just tested that myself. It gave me a response, and I can see that things are extremely satisfied based on that one response that I gave. And also what happens is it creates a Google Sheets with your response. So right here, you can see create spreadsheet. There's some option, get email notifications for new responses. So if you want to be notified when a new response comes in, if I click on this sheet here, it will open up. You can see create the new sheet right from here, and I'll just show you this quickly before I go back here. And then it has the one answer. As I put more questions in, this would become more columns in here with more answers filling it. I'm just going to close that. I'm going to go back to my questions here. And I want to point out, even though I created this in multiple choice, I can quickly change this. So if I go for multiple choice and I wanted this to be a checkbox, you can see now if I preview it, we have checkboxes, and checkboxes will allow me, I could even submit multiple ones like so. When you change it to checkboxes, I'm going to leave there, you check those three little dots again, you can see there's response validation now. And what this does, it allows you to set rules. So if I click on response validation, you can go through, I'll put a link down below in the description where you can take a look at this a little bit more detailed, but you can put some rules to this. You can see select at least, most, exactly, and you can have number and custom text in here. So I'm not going to dive deeper into that. I turn this off, turn these off here on it. And I do want to notice that there is a drop down box here. So if I go to drop down box in it, in this case, we don't have the data validation one here, but we can go to selected areas, preview it real quickly, and we have a drop down to answer. So depending on how you want, you can see that this is a required question. I'm going to close out of this. So let's go add another question now. So now I want to add a written response back. So I'm going to hit the plus here, like so. And I'm going to, instead of a multiple choice, I'm going to go to, I have a choice from short answer to paragraph. I think I'd probably want paragraph in this one. I'll put a question. What do you like best about your experience? So I want them to explain this. So what would this look like now in my preview? We have, here's the question, they would give the answer, and then it would collect the information in the responses here. So I'm going to close out of this one. I want to point out a few different types of questions before I get in showing you how you can change the look of your Google form here too. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the add question. I'm going to scroll down here. So instead of multiple choice here, I want you to take a look at the grid options right here. So we have our linear scale, our multiple choice grid, and our checkbox grid. And when you select them, you can see if I was going to go linear scale, we have all these different options. And just so you know what it looks like, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to leave here for a moment, and I'm going to go into this event feedback template, and you can see them in action now. And then you'll see how you can quickly change any of these. So we have, if I click on any of these, this is a linear scale, just like this. So 1 to 5 on it. So if I click in any of these, I can start to edit them just like this. Here on this one, you can see the grid. So what the grid allows me to do is have all these different options in here so that you can go through. So accommodation, you could pick, welcome kit, you could pick. So you can, in one question, you could have a list of different things and they could rate each of them. So that's kind of a handy feature to have. And you can see if you need more columns or more rows, you just click in any of these like this. So as they go through, you can see they had a multiple choice grid here, and they've used this quite a bit through this template. So I'm going to go back now just to my other one. I just thought it'd be easier to show you what those grid ones will look like here. I'm going to go back to Pete's Pet Store here, what we're working on. So any of these questions you can quickly drag and change the order of them too. And the other thing that you can do is add sections to your form. So whether this works good for assessments, or even if there's different sections that you'd want to kind of break your questions down into. So we can add sections. And since I was selected on that question, it added a section here, and I can go through and title them. So you can break it down for as people are going down through it. It might be a little easier for them to kind of break it down into chunks of section by section. You can get rid of these too. You can say we can delete a section, but do you want the questions in there on it? So I wouldn't go okay because I don't want the questions gone. So what I can do is just merge with above, and then it just goes into those questions like so. All right, so now let's look at some customization. We don't want this maybe this light purple and everything and dark purple highlights. We can change this around, and that is just through custom theme here. Just looking at, you can choose image header, so we can go through and pick these, and I'm just going to pick kind of we'll pick this jelly bean one here, and I'm going to insert it. It adds this to the top of it, and it automatically adjusts the colors to match the image. So it kind of thought this would be the best colors for it. You can override these. So if I pick any of these, you can see how I can choose. I can add more through here too and pick your own if that's what you want to do. I can hit add to it, and I have another cut one just like that. We do have some basic font styles here too that we can change around just by selecting. You don't have a lot of them, but it's nice to have a few options of it to change. So make some quick customizations through this right here. Now, let's say we're all done this and we want to send it out, and I've talked about the send a few times. I just wanted to point out a few different things. We have our settings here. Do you want to collect email addresses? We haven't sent this out yet. If we do this, this will collect the email addresses in here. Require sign in. Do we want to force them to sign in to access this Google form? So we can check this. Limit to one response, and then you can see respondents can edit after they submit. You could check that. So if you don't want them to redo it, leave that off. See summary charts and text responses. We have presentation here. Show a progress bar. Show shuffle question orders. Show link to submit another response, and quizzes. So I'm going to show you the make the quiz in a moment here, but all we'd have to do is turn this on to make a quiz, and then we can add our questions. But I'm going to come back to this and just do a quick overview of the quizzes here. Let's say we send this here, so I'm going to hit send. There's different ways we can send it. I could put the emails in right here, so you can see this is email here. I could automatically collect respondents' teachers' email addresses, teachers' tech email addresses. I have a link here, so I could do a shorten. So maybe you don't want to send out this whole URL to somebody. If I go shorten this, and I can copy this, and so when I send this out, I could send that in an email just like that, and I'll just paste this in here, and it would bring them to this form that they would go through and complete. We also have our embedding, so we could embed this into a website. This works really good with Google Sites. I have a different tutorial for Google Sites if you're interested in that, and you can see where we can share on Facebook and Twitter, and with the embed code we can pick some sizes in here. So that's how we share it out for people to complete it. Remember, that's different than the collaboration that I was talking about before. So before we end this today, I just want to go over quizzes. It's really easy to switch this over to a quiz, just like I showed you before on it. When we're creating a quiz here, what we can do is just go to a blank quiz template, and this will set it up already in quiz form. I already have a quiz that I started here, just very simple to kind of speed up the process here. I'm going to open this up, just some very simple math questions in here. You can see that we have some total points. This is worth 2 questions. As I showed you before, if we hit the little gear here, we go to quizzes, make sure this is turned on to make it a quiz on it, and you have some options here. If they're working from a Chromebook, you can make it more secure, so they're not allowed to open tabs. Like if you want to make sure that it's secure and they're not looking things up, you can kind of turn that off. We can release grades right after they're done their assessment or later upon manual review, that when you look through it, and they can also see things like missed questions, correct answers, point values on it. So you pick what you want them to see. So let's say we have our quiz here, and I just have a couple of questions. We add our questions just like we did before. We hit our plus. We can add all the different types of questions, but with their multiple choice and or drop down or checkbox, we can have different, we can make sure that there's an answer to these. You can see we have an answer key down here. I already have it selected, 7 minus 2, 5. But if it was a different answer, we could go and click. We could actually have multiple ones. So if I click up here, that turns that one off, and now 3 becomes this answer, which I'm going to turn it back to this one. But we can go through and select our answers and then just hit done on it. So you go through, and it makes it super easy to get those assessments graded right away. And remember, this connects really easily with Google Classroom too, where you can add it right in from it. I have a different different tutorial on Google Classroom. I just want to show you a few responses that I just filled in. And if I click up in responses, I just filled it in 4 different times. I'm going to go to the summary, and it gives you an idea of the average, medium, range here. You can see frequently missed questions on it. We have scores. The email. So I did this from the same account 3 different times. Then I also sent it over to a different account. And remember, you do have to, if you're sending it out of the organization, you do have to change this. Requires the sign in. So you do have to change that if it's going outside of whatever your domain is. You can see waiting for one response, and we go through and can see all this different information. Here we have our questions. We can go through and see how everybody did on each of the questions here. And we can also look at it individually, dropping down to see how the different people did on it. So you can see a lot of the different information. And like I showed you before, you can view your response in Google Sheets here. And if you had to release your scores, if you hadn't had that set up to release your scores, you can select it right through here. So that just gives you a little idea how the information will be collected. I just wanted to point out a couple other things up top here. See these where it's the more buttons. I just want to point out get pre-filled link, and what that does is pre-filled links you could actually populate with some of the answers and send out the link through there. And you can add collaborators. I showed you a different way, but you can add your collaborators through here. So if there's other teachers you're working with, you can add them here. And there's more add-ons that you can go through to it. You can take a look at these. You can click on it and see what different things you can add to Google Forms, and just kind of play around and see what you like. So I hope you found this intro to Google Forms helpful, useful to you, that you can start using it right away to collect the data that you want. Let me know what you think down below in the comments and what other things you're looking for. Thanks for watching this week on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.